Hi everyone, I'm Zach with the Money Channel, and I think it's best that we dive into it. As an overview, Tenants of America's biggest landlord form union to fight evictions rent hikes. While I wouldn't count on it, I hope this marks the beginning of trends that coerce mega corporations to leave the residential real estate market. I think many are. It only made sense when real estate assets were appreciating 10% year on year and borrowing costs were under 3%. I want someone to tell me how this works over a 10-year time horizon when housing prices decline year over year unless there's a radical Fed pivot and inflation suddenly drops to 2%. I don't see how it works. Don't forget that it's just the empty asset value that you're accounting for. In addition to it, as long as they rent above their mortgage and fees, they should turn a solid cash flow and profits. How is that possible in a recessionary environment? You have to cent rent, so high-only well-paid white-collar folks, your income are going to be eligible, and these are exactly the folks losing their jobs right now. Housing and rent affordability is always constrained by the consumer's income and inflationary effects on their cost of living. Just jacking up rent rates to cover your expensive real estate doesn't work when you run out of the pool available tenants. Something tells me a lot of these corporate landlords are going to figure that out. There's been a dramatic social shift with the percentage of income spent on rent. In the past, people wouldn't dare to spend a third of their income on rent alone. Now it's become a norm to spend half or more on rent in large metropolitan areas. People do spend insane amounts. The overpriced apartments are not empty, the demand is there. I'm with you that it's crazy and that shouldn't be sustainable for either the customers or the companies. But that's just the reality we're living in now. Demand is there because of the free money printed by the Fed and near zero interest rates since 2008, people were borrowing at low rates. That's no longer the case. It's not sustainable. Everyone, banks, Wall Street landlords are just going to expect Fed to bail them out when push comes to shove. We haven't had a true free market when it comes to big money ways since 2008, and too big to fail became part of our lexicon. The problem for them is our ability to just print our way out of problems is complete gone now, thanks to the blue-collar labor shortage coupled with inflation. There's no longer any slack in the productive economy. They're going to have to play ball. Blackstone enjoys advantages, I'm sure. They would be the last real estate company to be left standing when the music stops. They literally created this market. The residential real estate fund has been seeing a lot of redemption since December. It may be ending sooner than we think. So there is another side to the equation you are not seeing. Real estate has a lot of tax advantages. I am not an accountant. I only use one or two of the legal advantages on a property I am building and not even renting. It cut my personal taxes to nearly nothing. The same is true of farms. So you have to understand with real estate you benefit both in a steady income but also in massive tax advantage, so to not pay taxes on said profits. So you can actually go negative on paper while still profiting without much work, and it's all legal. Would you rather make 100k and lose 30k on taxes, or make 85k and pay 0 on taxes? This, and I am an accountant. Yep, I collect accounts and lawyers for the young people reading this. It's important they help you keep your money. Also, if you catch them young, you can trade services, meaning saving money for both parties. That creates lifetime connections and they can really help you build your network with other clients. Biggest lesson mom ever imparted was this: it's not what you make, it's what you keep. Lesson means doesn't matter if you make 100k a month. If you only keep 10k, you only make 10k. The other 90k is profiting someone else or society at large, which you may be fine with. Always know the net profit, not the gross profit. We had a farm growing up, never paid most taxes, including most property taxes, but we made money in stocks and other businesses that were offset by the farm, so we kept most of the money. Form unions, get subsidized legal assistance, fight every claim, drive investors out of real estate and back into US manufacturing and infrastructure, profit as rent goes down, housing price goes down, interest rates improve, roads improve, cost of goods improve, unemployment goes down, job security goes up, reliance on foreign nations goes down, demand for cleaner energy goes up, and then question mark. I think we could benefit from getting private equity firms out of damn near everything. The traditional real estate investment trusts aren't the worst offenders. It's these newcomers. The private equity firms got into single-family homes only 10 to 11 years ago and got into other stuff starting in the 80s. They are dragging the quality of business down to the lowest common denominator in this country and affecting the quality of life too. Almost everything they touch suffers. In real estate, private equity is utterly transforming the housing industry to artificially maintain the highest still profitable price, and they will and do bring discipline to the market, aka scarcity. They create intense volatility that hurts smaller landlords too, and we are just beginning to learn about that. This is still just beginning, be aware of that. They contract with home builders who are now partnering up to go into rentals, building to rent in the middle of a housing inventory crisis for home buyers. Their market share is ballooning. It is ironic that some of the tenants of Blackstone probably own a small interest in their property via a pension, IRA, 401k, or some other rate investment trust. Blackstone has its hands into everything. Pretty dystopian to pay money into a 401k that turns around and robs you with illegal price fixing on rent. Some, but most US wealth, pension, and retirement assets are held by older, wealthier, and probably home-owning investors. And that same segment is more likely to be in the type of stable income real estate assets provide. States like Oregon, Washington, and California are making it near impossible to be a mom-and-pop landlord anymore, so those corporations are taking over because they have the money to deal with crappy tenants and crappy laws. Bingo! Enjoy your subscription fee on fridges, microwaves, opening windows. Not to be that guy, but no crap. We should have expected a spike in evictions after 2 years of nobody being evicted. What did we think? Suddenly everyone would start being a good tenant. The rent hikes part is fully valid, but being upset that people are being evicted now after not paying rent for 2+ years is just insane. Blackstone also had a self-imposed eviction moratorium that lasted longer than the actual ones for their properties. So many of their buildings are chock full of non-payers that it is known in the real estate community that any Blackstone deal you look at will have that issue. Exactly, it's happening to mom and pop landlords too, who don't have the deep pockets of Blackstone. And if you're a tenant who took government subsidy for 2 years and purposely screwed over your landlord by withholding rent, a F you, get the hell out of my house is well deserved. Maybe the landlords could consider getting a real job, you know, like one that has some level of self-respect involved. Yeah, cause investing in real estate is absolutely not self-respectful. You sound like a spoiled child. I provided a service, the house I bought and fixed, no one else would touch. The renters that lived in my house couldn't get a mortgage anytime in the near future from their own past mistakes. Apartment managers won't even consider their 2 pit bulls, or look at their application when they see the garbage credit score. So people like me don't exist. Where do they go? To the streets? Do they make enough to afford a mortgage? Absolutely, could easily clear it, but they have a history of being irresponsible and no one did that to them but themselves. You reap what you sow. Unions won't make a difference, nor would driving the biggest landlord companies out of the business. Way too many morons all wanting to rent the same places in downtown megacities like New York City and San Francisco, when simultaneously the politicians there are doing everything in their power to slow down builders from creating new units to provide additional supply. So long as you have idiots willing to pay for listings that are on the worst room, the situation will never change. How about a class action suit brought against every city, county, and state for not upholding their building codes and allowing landlords to risk renters' lives? I've tried to get the building inspector to come out and talk to me, but they never do. Common misunderstanding, but the building code that applies to a building is not the most current effective code. It's whatever code was current the year that building was constructed. Owners only have to do things to code when they're doing major improvement work that impacts several systems, like any structural work, combo electrical, and plumbing, etc. Good, F landlords, especially big corporate ones. Anybody who's lived on a property that was purchased by crapheads like Blackstone knows how little they care for property and tenants. It's all about money, they don't care who suffers or how. Anybody who turns something as necessary as shelter into an investment property is a monster. Companies like Blackstone have made billions while putting disadvantaged people onto the street. Senior citizens on fixed retirement income are some of the most common victims that come to mind. Victimizing the less fortunate to enrich their investors, mess them. Yeah, screw them. People should just build you a free place to live. It is unfortunate that good business decisions are becoming more and more synonymous with parasitic business practices. Whatever happened to investing in the future, taking a risk to make the world a better place, high risk, high reward? No, it seems there is some sort of doom spiral where low risk, high reward scenarios are used to establish a feedback loop, ensuring that they continue to exist. As if you can just create money out of nothing. No innovation, no boldness, nothing. What's really happening is we are liquidating our social fabric, which will then require taxpayer funds to fix. That's where this money is coming from. Our relationships, peace of mind have all been turned into money. Love to see it. BlackRock and Vanguard are terrorist organizations. BlackRock has factually proven time and time again how dangerous it is to have a single entity own so many different facets of an economy. Standard Oil was broken up for this very reason and only in one industry, and yet lawmakers are lining their pockets, turn a blind eye to this insidious behavior. You can't have a company that owns the media and then use that clout to create a media blackout for certain events that hurt their bottom line. And that's specifically what has happened. That's just one example.